Call the meeting to order. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, would Secretary like to do roll call, please?
Vice Chair Benz,
Here?
Secretary Lundy, here. Linda Garrick, absent. Jenny Eller. Here. Mark Smith. Here. Joel King.
Here.
Okay. For announcements and correspondence, did get a letter today, from Clark Hill about the about the meeting tonight, and it'll be recorded that we did receive it. Would anybody like to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda of the March 11th meeting.
A second.
Okay, everybody say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How about approval of the minutes?
Just one change on the minutes.
Oh, what is it?
On the, under where it says approval of the agenda, then there's the meeting minutes, and it says approval of agenda again. Just switch that to minutes.
What should it be?
It should be minutes.
Ah,
Move to approve the minutes.
okay. Well, any other corrections? Do we want to approve them with the correction in there?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
I second it.
Everybody's passing? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we're going to have a public hearing today on these ordinances. And when we have a public hearing, it is just for us to gather information. We're not going to respond, and the only one you can talk to is the chairperson, which is at the moment me. But we just take in the information, and it'll be acted upon on the next meeting, as long as that's clear. And when you come up to speak, you give your name and then speak. I don't think with the amount of people here, I have to limit you to your 3 minutes or whatever. I think we have enough time for this. And after each article, I'm going to close the meeting and then open it for each one. So that's when you see that happening, that's what has to be done. And our planner here has a few summary ideas here for you. Mr. Sprout?
Sure. So prior to the conversation in your public hearing, you have four amendments that you're going to be hearing this evening, or that we discussed at your last planning commission meeting. We'll be hearing thoughts from those amendments from this crowd this evening. The first was to repeal the existing open space ordinance as written, to provide changes to that ordinance and then recodify it. That is a ordinance that is required under the Zoning Enabling Act as a tool that has to be implemented through the Zoning Enabling Act. So that's number one. Number two is the new ordinance, Article 4, that is regulating and not allowing new community wastewater and septic systems, meaning that the township will only allow going forward those systems that are either existing in place or those systems that are one well, one septic per property, as opposed to multiple properties being able to use the same system. Again, only for those going forward, not for those looking backward. And that's, again, I think the concern of the letter that's going into the public record is that there was going to be, or there could be, a chance that that new ordinance would possibly negatively affect an existing development that is under consent judgment that was recently approved through site plan approval processes last year. That's not the case. This ordinance will not affect that.
Going forward.
Correct.
Okay.
Number three was a change to the schedule of regulations, section 2401B, 2401C, 2401H, and 2401P, which were all corrections that just needed to be put in place to go along with the new private septic and wastewater systems, well systems, to address that. And then the last is the permanent repeal without replacement of the PUD ordinance, which was an ordinance that allowed for greater flexibility, smaller lots, higher densities under certain conditions. That is not required under the Zoning Enabling Act, like the Open Space Act. And so those are the four things that we're hearing public comment on this evening. You are correct, your bylaws do indicate that you cannot take action on those. And so it might be appropriate at some point to have a discussion on those bylaws to see if that policy would like to remain, if you'd like it to remain. But that is the policy of the hour. So with that, the floor is yours, Madam Chair.
Okay, so as a reminder, come up individually and state your name. And the first one we're going to talk about is Article 4.49, Open Space Preservation, delete and the replacement. Would anybody like to speak to that? Yes.
Do you know the time and the time you close the hearing?
Oh, it is 6:06.
Carol, can you speak? We can't hear very well. Can you speak a little closer into the microphone?
Your microphone's on mute.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Much better.
Okay. Being a teacher, I've never had that problem. I have to get my teacher voice. Okay, so the first article is in discussion. Anybody that wishes to speak to that one? Yes, sir.
Hi, Jeff Onashinsky, 120 Lakeland Lane. Can you explain what that particular ordinance change is going to do? As near as I can tell, it sounds like it's going to allow for increased density and lowering the threshold for land preservation.
No.
I-
You want me to wait and respond to that when we're done?
When we're done, we'll respond to that. I'm just supposed to listen.
I'm just trying to understand
I know.
what the ordinance is calling for. Thank you.
How can we ask a question or comment if we don't know what we're commenting on? Shouldn't you explain it and then take public input once it's explained what's involved? Wouldn't that be the correct way to do it?
Well, it was published, wasn't it?
I think what, and feel free, but
Justin?
I think what they're asking you is to go up and speak, and then Justin is going to address everything afterwards.
Okay, I'll go up. Okay, if you're gonna address it after, could you please explain what I'm going to comment to, and will I be allowed to make another comment once you explain what you're proposing?
Okay. Yes.
My name is Bill Chomick, 2065 Shane Court. Question is there a document someplace where it identifies only the changes to these, not only the first one, but since we're on 4.49, identify what the changes are compared to what's there now? Is there someplace where we can see what the changes are?
So that was in our last meeting.
Last meeting.
That we
yeah.
had that, the red line
The
strike
red
through
lines,
versions.
yeah.
We can, I know that can be shared with you after this evening, because again, they're not taking a vote on it tonight. But that can be shared with you. We do have a red line version. The fundamentals of it are not changing. We're just streamlining it in accordance with the Zoning Enabling Act. There will be no increase or decrease in open space permitted. There will be no increase in densities permitted. It's the rules of the Zoning Enabling Act that we are putting in place here. That's it. So we are just bringing our ordinance in line with the Zoning Enabling Act.
Good. So the last meeting minutes from March 11th, we will be looking for that document. The meeting from March 11th, is that where the red line document is?
Yes, that's where it
Yes.
was discussed.
Thank you.
Wayne Hodges, 8 625 Code Drive. Could you enlighten me as to what is the Zoning and Enabling Act? I apologize, but it's something I'm not familiar with. So I don't know if I'm in favor of it or concerned about it.
Zoning Enabling Act is Public Act 110 of 2006, which is the state law allowing for zoning within counties and divisions of counties, such as townships, villages, cities. And so the Zoning Enabling Act is what establishes the open space preservation zoning, and it calls for it. And so that is all that we're doing, is taking our ordinance as it exists now, bringing it in alignment with the state statute, and moving forward.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, just a point of order. If I heard correctly, I heard your board approve the agenda for the March 11th meeting. And I think you needed to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, I misspoke. That should have been for the
It was
April,
for
today,
this
for
one,
today,
this
for
one.
April 8th.
Thank you.
Well, you know, the error is supposed to be human, but to really screw it up, you got to have a computer involved.
Okay. Could you address their questions now to,
I hope that explanation regarding the Zoning Enabling Act would address the concerns. Again, I can say we are not changing any of the land area as far as density or increase of density. This is exactly what the Zoning Enabling Act allows us and requires us to do, so that's all we were doing.
okay? Then this is closed for the Article 4.49. Then we'll open Article 4, Water, Wells, Septic, and Wastewater Systems. This is new, 4.48.
It's time.
And time is 6:12. Nobody on the,
Again, Bill Chomer. I heard you say, I just want to make sure I'm clear. This does not affect existing systems,
It does not.
so existing systems can remain.
Correct. And it's only for new systems.
Wayne Hodges again. Could you help me understand why the board is considering this item?
There are a number of considerations, primarily. One is health code standards for the Oakland County Health Department. Another is that a number of these systems across the state, when they are built to serve a community, and that community no longer supports that system, meaning there's a good example in Mundy-Grambling Township border, where they built a number of condos and put in a community septic system, and that community is now choosing to not pay into the coffers anymore to keep that system operational and up to date when it's in need of repairs. That is going to come back to the township to take over responsibility through the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. Therefore, given that, it is our belief that it is in the best interest of the township to keep these systems, one system per one lot, one well per one lot. Therefore, it doesn't have the chance to fall into disrepair and failure.
anybody else with a question or statement? Here.
I'm Heidi from Copper Hills Golf Club, and I'm sorry I walked in just a minute late. But you said this is not on current systems.
It's going forward from this point.
Okay, so will the language be changed to make Copper Hills Estates exempt from this in the language, including increased flow and the PUDs?
I don't believe it needs to. There's nothing in this that would, one, affect or impact a change in the consent order that established that, unless it was ordered by a judge. Therefore, this ordinance will not impact that. Secondly, this is something, like was stated by the chair, is only going forward for new systems and new developments, not those that are already approved or in place.
Okay. All right, I just know it said about increased flow, and we,
Correct, but this will not impact the consent order that was prepared by the judge. That's in effect through the judge, and this is not a
so
subject to that.
increased flow for our plant would not be an issue.
No, that's an approved site, and it's under the consent order.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
John Fredericks, 1440 Spruce. My question is, in regards to what she just asked you, what would be the case if they found that the Copper Hills sewage treatment plant didn't accommodate the lots, that it wasn't built up to standards? Would they be allowed to expand that sewage treatment plant, even though it's been this way for 30 years?
I have no idea, quite honestly.
Speak to that.
No.
I didn't either.
I just said I can't speak to that. Those plants are regulated by the health department, by the Department of Environment, Great Lake and Energy. They would all have to be, any plans for growth or change that's in compliance with the consent order would have to be reviewed by all approving agencies, including the state and the county. So therefore, that's not part of this zoning.
Isn't what you're proposing that a sewage treatment plant cannot be expanded?
Their facility is under a legal consent order from a judge, and it's been approved through site plan last year. We can't go back and forth on that one. That consent order is a legal document that was.
Is this a second consent order?
I don't know. I would have to defer to the township's attorney for those questions.
I was just wondering if it was a consent order that you guys agreed to behind closed doors that nobody knew about. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of. No, there's a consent order that was put in place that was.
I mean, what I'm trying to get at, was this a recent consent order or
No.
30 years ago?
No, I'm not sure when the consent was, but I'd have to defer to the township attorney.
If I understood, Wayne Hodges again, I'm kind of like a bad penny. I understand this would apply to multiple family dwellings. Would this also apply to business dwellings?
It is intended to apply to allowing multiple units to utilize a community system that is not a public system operated and maintained by the township. That is our intent, and that goes for all uses.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so we're going to close at 6:18. And move on to, excuse me, Section C, which is a schedule, Article 24, Schedule of Regulations, and amend Section 24.01B, also 24.01C, and 24.01H.
Next line, and.
It should be Madam Chair, letter P as well.
ND?
No, P.
Oh, I didn't see that, 24.0P, I'm sorry. Is there anything you'd like to explain about this one?
This is just, again, a change to the table of regulations to accommodate the new language prohibiting community systems.
Okay. Anybody want to speak on that? Just, I did 6:18.
That's when we close, so go ahead.
Anybody? Okay, well then, we'll close this at 6:20. and go to D, which is Article 25, the PUD. Going to just delete it and list as reserved.
It's just a repeal.
Yeah. There's no need for it.
What's a PUD?
Planned unit development. So going back to, again, the zoning enabling act that you had asked the question about, the zoning enabling act does require us to have an open space preservation clause in our ordinance. It does not require the planned unit development, which is the tool, again, that allows for increased densities, smaller lot sizes, and other considerations where a typical exchange for some unique characteristics of that development would make sense to the community. That's what we're repealing.
Thank you.
Just one quick question relative to Article 4. I'm backing up one, I apologize for that. Water, well, septic, and waste systems. What are the implications if in fact in the development I live in, 889 Hemlock, Oxford, Copper Hills, Phase 1? What are the implications of the single-family site condo, 15 residential units that are on a community septic right now? Should there be any issues moving forward with the community septic? It's being monitored currently, it's running fine, everything's great. What impact does Article 4 have on if there were to be a problem with our community septic?
A failure? This ordinance isn't for a failure. That would be handled through the agencies.
Okay, so existing is exempt as well? Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to, what time is it? 6:22, close the Article 25, the PUD. And we will take all these to be tabled until our next meeting, and we'll go over them. We were just gather information. Is there anything else, Justin, we need to say about that? Okay.
Could I still make a comment?
Yes, sir.
You know, the septic field that Dean Acquetti's referring to was put in there as a temporary field when they did construction. At the completion of that phase of the construction, that community field was to be hooked onto the sewage treatment plant, which never happened. For some reason, I went to all these meetings and that was gonna happen when they built the last house in that phase. So now if that septic system goes down, will they be required to hook into the sewage treatment plant, being that that field was only temporary?
That's a good question.
Thank you. It's been legislation and judgments, and I really can't comment on that. I really don't know. So, well, we'll move on to the next, which is the election of the chair.
Right, Madam Chair, just for the meeting minutes for the record, could I have somebody make a motion? Due to the rules
Don't make a
of the
motion. I'm
bylaws,
sorry, I forgot that.
Due to the rules of the bylaws, to request a table to the next meeting?
Yeah, I'm sorry, forgot that.
I request that we table items 2A through 2D to the next meeting to allow for a month after the public hearing.
Anybody second it? I'll second it.
No, Mark did.
I didn't hear it. Turn up the hearing aids. Okay, then, so it will be tabled until next month's meeting. How many in favor in that?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So let's do that closes our public hearing. So do we want to, we have nominate a chair.
I would like to nominate Joel King for chair.
Anybody else? Would Joel King accept?
I would.
Okay. Then let's put it to a vote then.
I recommend a roll call vote.
Yep, I am. Good secretary?
Vice Chair Benz,
Yes.
Secretary Lundy, yes. Jenny Eller, sorry.
Yes.
Mark Smith,
Yes.
Joel King.
Yes.
Okay then.
Madam Chair, point of order, I didn't catch who seconded that.
Mark it.
Mark second?
Okay. Do you want to start now?
Why not? Moving on in our agenda, the next item is a public forum. This is an opportunity for any members of the public to address any particular issue they would like to hear that have the Planning Commission hear about. Again, it's a chance for us to listen to you, but would not typically get involved with an exchange. Does any members of the public like to approach the podium and also address the board on any matters that they haven't had the opportunity to sound off on already? Okay, that public forum was opened at 6:26, and we'll now close the public forum at 6:27. Move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the commissioners' reports. Does any member have any additional reports from any other commissions?
No.
Okay. In that case, we can entertain movements to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. The meeting is adjourned at 6:27.